Okay, it's 7:31. We'll call the March 17th City of Huntington Woods Historic District Commission into session. And Hank, I just have one quick thing before we do our call to order here. Obviously, we didn't have a meeting early in the year, so I'm making an assumption that I'm going to be continuing to act as chair until we get to the other business, and then we...
But we can't do that tonight because it's a special meeting.
Okay. So and there you go. So I just wanted to make sure that...
So, so at this point in time, you'll still act as chair until such time as
the next regularly
the next
scheduled
regular meeting, which we will be having, I believe we'll be having that April meeting.
Okay, perfect.
So that's one of the things too, and we have a couple other things that we'd like to go over too. I had talked to Robert about a couple things that we want to bring up, take a look at, and so we'll be having some of that as well.
And the other business, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Also,
Perfect.
while you're on the business, I would love to take the opportunity to welcome Michal to the Historic District Commission. I apologize if I've done your name any injustice.
No, you were very good.
But I do appreciate it. And you're with a bunch of people that have been through this many, many times. And if you have any questions, good group to ask.
And Jeff, too.
Yeah, and Jeff's here.
Hello.
Jeff.
Is a completely different thing because this is the first time that we've able to have a city commissioner that actually is sitting as a voting member on the Historic District Commission, part of a restructuring, and we greatly appreciate his taking part in this. And welcome to Jeff as well.
I was also involved in the original creation.
Yes. So.
And I was the one that added the golf course, as well as the zoo. And I walked all the houses because people were confused about what was occurring.
Okay, so we have that, and then at this point in time, Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours.
So just a couple quick point of order. We do not have meeting minutes, is that
No,
correct?
the meeting
Okay.
minutes were copied off of the original, which was going to be the March 2nd.
Okay.
But here, this is our only sole course of things, so next month you will have 2 sets of minutes, which will be those minutes plus that. So the only thing that we are presenting tonight is the single order of business. As we were unable to attain a quorum for the applicants at the last meeting, they agreed to a special meeting. We're trying to get them on the road here, so with that, that's where we're at. So there will be no minutes for tonight.
Perfect. So let's welcome everybody and let's go right into the application. So tonight we have an application for the Craig residence located at 26573 Dundee. And so applicants, would you, we did receive
I
materials?
was gonna say, we have a presentation deck for
Yeah,
anybody who
so
might
I
need
think
one.
we all have one.
I actually I brought all the stuff without the
Okay?
the most important one. Thank you.
I have two.
You have two? Okay, great.
And just for those who haven't done this before, there's a great little booklet here that references the standards. And it also gives us a little bit of order for the meeting procedure. So that's what we do as we go through this, so that we have a little bit of order to the chaos. So the floor is yours. So go ahead and introduce yourselves, and we look forward to hearing your application.
Well, first of all, thank you everyone for this special meeting. We appreciate it. And it, it's a lot to ask to have everybody come in and help consider our project. So thank you. Sean and I are very proud to have bought the home on Dundee. We're experienced designers, so we produce events for professionally, and we're looking for a challenge for a home that we could be inspired to continue rebuilding time and time again. So I got my wish and got my challenge and my endless project, and Sean's continuously looking at me saying, "Are you joking?" as we kind of start this process and look under every handmade DIY choice that was done with lots of love, but maybe not as much expertise as we would have wanted, I think. So our goal right now, kind of where we are in our process, is Operation Make It Livable, Make It Safe. And also Operation Restore It to its original. So we're starting this, right now the home is under construction from an interior standpoint, where we are looking at removing the asbestos, removing lead paint for our children, making the stairs and things like that a little bit safer, repairing, joists and things like that that had been removed by the owner. But on the exterior standpoint, we have to make some choices to be able to have the house insured, specifically the roof. So the roof is one of our biggest asks today that we can consider of what can we do, and are you comfortable with the plan that we've proposed, which we believe is designed to specifically uphold the character of the home. That looks premium. We don't want to replace it with a standard asphalt roof. We want to keep the character of the home and make something that is worthy of being on Hendry and Dundee and in the front of the woods. But we need to be able to afford it, and we need it to be able to be leak-proof. The current handmade situation is an insurance company has essentially said that they would only insure us if we guaranteed a full new roof by April. So we appreciate that you guys met with us today because our expiration date is coming up pretty quickly on getting that done. So the first is the roof. The second are some of the additions in the backyard. The home has a pool, which is beautiful, but because we have a baby, the way that the family built about it's like a tiki bar with no foundation and a enclosed room with lava rocks, with dirt, with real bugs, with real poison ivy, which was lovely to find on your inside house. All of that, needs to go so that we can secure the pool safely for a pool fence. So with all of that, we're asking for some permission to be able to basically replace and repair the roof with an asphalt alternative and to get rid of the lava rock living room and the tiki shed in the backyard so we can secure the pool. Is that it? And then we did rip out some of the ivy and poison ivy, although I really did want to keep the ivy. That the pest guy told me that was a bad choice. So we're working on it. And the insurance company as well. So in general, we appreciate your consideration. Does anyone have any questions?
I think what I'll do is I do have
Yeah.
a couple comments on this, and it pretty much stands on its own, but I do have a couple comments, and I would like to make those, and of course, they have the opportunity to respond to any of those. And if you have any questions at that point in time, you can certainly ask me, you can certainly ask them. I will start out with saying, I don't have the drawings for this house. So for whatever reason, whether they were lost in flood or whatever it is, but I don't even have the file for this. So it tends to be in my mind that it was in the bottom row of the files downstairs in the basement. But I do have the permit file for this house. And it did indicate that the glass enclosure on the back of the house was put on in the 80s. And it was not original to the house. The house in and of itself has the tiki bar without the foundation did come later. The roof, I will tell you that Mr. Brzezinski, who had the house before, was a do-it-yourself carpenter with probably not the skills necessary to have that house. And I will tell you that the roof is actively leaking, which explains why the sense of urgency for them to get here with this project. As far as the scope of the leaks for the roof and that, I'll leave that to them if you want to go into that with them. But there's no doubt that the roof itself has to come off, and my understanding is that there may be some structural roof repairs that have to happen prior to putting any new roof on.
That's correct.
So, and then also that the wood roof would be substantially more expensive than they would have for a regular roof. Again, going by one of the houses that we know what the roof cost, which would be the White House at the top of the hill on Boardman, you're looking at a six-figure plus roof. So that's one of the things that we had with that. As far as the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines, again, these are the important things that you have to relate it to. The property shall be used for its historic purpose or be placed in a new use that requires minimal change in the defining characteristics of the building and its site and environment. The use is the same, it's still a single-family residence, so it's not, that part is not changing. The historic character of the property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize the property shall be avoided. The outstructures in the greenhouse were not original to the house. The roof explanation is included in the documents that you have from the applicant. I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any other questions. Originally, it does appear that there was originally a wood roof on the house. And then 3, each property shall be recognized as a physical record of its time, place, and use. Changes that create a false sense of historical development, such as adding conjectural features or architectural elements from other buildings, shall not be taken. This is pretty much, and correct me if I'm wrong, a restoration to the original footprint, and the back wall will look the same as it did before the greenhouse was added to that.
That's correct.
And then 4, most properties change over time. These changes have acquired a historic significance in their own right, shall be retained and preserved. Again, the outbuildings, as well as the addition, really haven't been around. The addition actually is like right there.
If you look on the page plan drawing, you can see, so it was an added greenhouse room that they tacked on over what looked to be a porch, and then a tiki bar that was, I think, installed when they probably put in the pool. So you can see, and that was actually put over a window, so they actually did roofing material in between the tiki shed and the inside of our kitchen.
The point being is that it hasn't hit its 50-year criteria yet. So if you're looking at the 80s, you got 20 to 2000, you're at 42 years right now. If it was 80, and I believe that the permit said 85 on that. So it's well under the 50-year codicil for having historic value. 6, the deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature shall match the old in design, color, and texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be substantiated by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence. It shouldn't apply to the addition because they're going to restore it exactly to what it was. But the roofing, they're claiming a hardship. And the hardship is related to A, materials, B, to cost, and C, to the understructure, and that they would have to do before they could put the roof back on. And important for them is also timing. So that would be the answer to that one. 7, chemical or physical treatments such as sandblasting that cause damage to historic materials should not be used. The surface cleaning of structures, if appropriate, shall be undertaken using the gentlest means possible. This wouldn't apply because we're not proposing that in any way, shape, or form. And 8, significant architectural resources affected by a project shall be protected and preserved. If such resources must be disturbed, mitigation measures shall be undertaken. They're not going into the ground for anything. The only thing that they're doing is removing that addition off the back that's outside the footprint, and the tiki bar, which probably was less than desirable afterthought for the pool area. 9, the new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. Since this is a removal of the added material, no real case could be made for this with the possible exception of the roof. 10, new additions or adjacent related new construction shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired. You could say that they could put the tiki bar back and they could put the addition back on that. The question becomes, why would you? So that's one of the things with that. As far as the roof, the form will be the same. The essential form would be the same. The question becomes, could they put a wood roof on back there in the future? The answer is yes. The problem is that they have to take the roof off, and then they have a lot of substructure that's going to have to be altered and changed in order to meet the weight capacity requirements for a roof, whether it's asphalt, shingles, or any other type of roof in the future. What they are asking what they're asking for is the roof. The roof is of paramount importance to them. Again, I've included the guidelines from the historic district that were approved, and you have all the information that were submitted by them. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, as I'm sure that they are, to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks very much, Hank. We're just going to go around. It's an opportunity for the commissioners to ask questions. I'll start on this side today, Jeff.
I support removing the non-historic sunroof and tiki bar additions, and I support replacing the roof with architectural asphalt shingles based upon unreasonable additional cost. So I have no questions.
This is not the point to indicate support or non-support for the
I
application.
understand, but I have no
I have only one question. What is the composition of the shingles that you propose to put on?
Can you clarify further?
Are they asphalt shingles? or
Yes, so
what?
There's a,
Yes.
CertainTeed Carriage House, the highest quality shingles that they offer.
But they are asphalt. I will say one other thing, we did learn from the roofing company that wooden shingles currently are applied over an asphalt roof. So we actually think that at some, okay.
Yeah.
There's
There's three
asphalt,
layers
there's
on there.
asphalt underneath there. But yes, it is an asphalt.
architectural asphalt.
Yes, you're out.
I have just one question regarding the roof. Why did you choose this roof over other roofs?
Thank you for asking. So, I personally fell in love with the house because of its character. So when I saw a storybook home covered in vines in the front woods, that's why I wanted to buy the house. When we had the inspection, we had to realize that some of the things I loved most about that home were going to need to go. But as a designer, it's been my mission to make sure that I'm keeping the charm of the home that I loved. So by picking a 1920s pattern, so this asphalt shingle is designed specifically with the 1920s in mind, which is why we picked the period of the home. We're hoping to try to actually keep it to be as close as we can within our budget to be able to make that happen. So we picked it because of its time period relevance, because it is premium. So that's the other thing is we have had multiple roofing companies take a look at it, and we chose one that was at the top of the line because, again, when you walk down Dundee and you see the edge of the peaked roof, I want that visual to be part of the sight line of our home to be interesting, not just square asphalt.
We walk our dog and baby around Hendry all the time, and we literally spent several months like looking at all the different roofs. Like who has the
We have pictures of about 5 neighbors' houses that have the roofs that are semi-similar, and we realize they're all the ones that are either diamond or fish scale.
And we found this one roof that we really love. I forget the cross street, but it's right.
It's actually on Hendry and Dundee on the other side, closer to Dundee Park.
And then we went and we knocked on the door and said, "Hey, what kind of shingles do you have on your house?" And the woman said, "I'll never tell."
So we took pictures, put it on Reddit, and got as close as we can.
Yeah, so that these were the closest match we could find to that.
I just have one question, Hank, you said that there are drawings that are existing, and there's obviously evidence of different kinds of shingles. You
Yeah,
made a comment about you thought that the house may have.
Yeah, I do
have-
not
how-
have any,
what's the
this is
proof
the
of
first
that?
I'm hearing about the asphalt shingles. I have not been in the attic to look up through to see that, but if they have an inspection that shows that that was originally asphalt roof, then the wood shingles become more of a less rather of an importance, because it originally did have the asphalt, or an asphaltic type of shingle.
If you look at this page with the floor, the grid, you can see it on the profile of that diagonal.
What page are you on?
This one right here.
The one with the purple
So
and
if
the
you
roof
look right
page.
here, that is actually a layer of
Why don't you make
Yeah.
sure you speak to them? Can you speak in the microphone though, so that it goes on the record?
So this is page 3 or 4, page 4, the bottom right picture. If you look at the profile of that diagonal slope of the roof, you can see that there is layers of asphalt shingles closest to the house.
Just, it's difficult to tell, I guess, Hank, I'm just gonna add real quick.
Yeah,
Just-
no, that's
We don't have
perfectly
historic
fine.
photographs, we don't have drawings, we don't have any
I don't
evidence
have
that the
any of
roof
that.
is, so, okay.
There's the whole.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Robert?
Thank you. Have you seen this product in person?
Yes.
So this is more of a procedural question. Why didn't you bring that product with you tonight?
As a first-time homeowner of a historic home, I did not think of that. So I'm
So
sorry.
when you applied through the city, no one said you need to bring XYZ materials with you?
No.
I think, I don't remember if anyone mentioned that, so no.
I don't,
Okay.
I would venture not.
That's my only question. Thank you.
Well, pretty much everything's been covered. I have just a question more out of curiosity, and I was like learning this. When you purchased this home in the historic district, were you aware it was in the historic district and some of the additional, that you would come before a historic board, it might be a little bit more administrative, a lot more to fulfill than?
The best part about living on Dundee is when we were about to make the offer, we talked to a couple of our neighbors. And they gave us the whole scoop before we made the choice. So we did, and again, I mean, I think, like I said, Mike and Sean's careers have been, actually, I mean, we're doing events in Times Square for Disney, and we're used to permit processes, we're used to this stuff, this is not, we love it, I love my leaded glass windows, and, we wanna keep the look of the house. That's a design challenge for us, is how do you make the interior of a 1920s Tudor look time relevant and modern, so.
Thank you.
We enjoy the process as well, and it was something that we want to do and continue doing, and this is likely not the last you've seen of us either.
Well,
This is phase 1.
Well, thank you very much. It sounds like your roof as it currently stands is not only, it could even be a safety hazard to you as the occupants with the leaking, and it sounds like it just lacks integrity, like if something were to fall on the roof, they look so rotten, like it could come right through the
Yeah, I would say so much.
structure and they either maybe hurt somebody within the structure or cause some sort of extra undue damage. So it truly does look like a hazard as it stands.
I agree, and and we owning an event company, or specialize in getting dangerous things insured, and I went to 4 different companies, all said that they wanted no part of this until the roof was replaced, and at that point we had already purchased the home and were on our way in, and so we had to find a specialty insurer to even be able to cover catastrophic coverage in the time frame between then and now, when we get a replacement, and then we had a time frame that's only good for so long.
Thank you.
Perfect. So at this point in time, it's an opportunity for public participation. So if anybody would like to speak, please step up to the podium. I would ask that you just please state your name and your address, and you're more than welcome to put forth any comments. Okay, it doesn't seem like anyone's going to talk, so we'll close the public participation. I think we've had a good dialogue back and forth, so I don't necessarily think we need to respond to any comments since there aren't any. So we'll close that discussion, and well, it's our turn now to have an opportunity to see if there's any more discussion that we would like to have, or if anybody would be willing to put forth a motion at this time. Mark, go right ahead.
If I may, I would move to bifurcate the decision on the application and consider the demolition and construction aspect separately from the roof issue.
do we have to make a formal motion? How does that work?
You can take it however you would like, Mr. Chair.
I mean, I have no problem with that. I guess I would like,
If you have a consensus that that's the way that would be, that wouldn't necessarily need a vote. You will in fact be voting on every item
Correct.
that's before you this evening.
is that acceptable if we break it into 2 votes with everyone?
I would second that motion.
Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and do that. I'm fine with that, Mark. Thank you for the suggestion. Does anybody else have any comments or discussion, or is anybody willing to make, we would need 2 motions, so. Jeff, go right ahead.
First motion, move to remove the non-historic additions, the sunroof, and move to approve the removal of the non-historic additions of the sunroom and the tiki bar.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the removal of all those non-historic elements. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Looks like that motion passes. So we're looking for a second motion now to address the change of the roof material to the architectural asphalt shingles. Is there anyone who would care to make a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the roof as presented, the asphalt roof as presented, 26573 Dundee, and issue a notice to proceed, and that the resource constitutes a hazard to the safety of the public or the resource's occupants. I believe that this home is unsafe from what's been presented for it to be inhabited as is.
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
How about discussion on the motion first?
Sure. Is there any discussion that wants to happen with the motion? Sorry, Mark?
I apologize to everyone. I'm not very good at speaking extemporaneously, so I've made some notes here. First of all, I don't think there's any question in any of our minds that the roof needs to be replaced. Also, there's no question that the existing roof is not the original roof. As it happens, Richard Muzinski Jr. is my own son's oldest friend, so I'm very familiar with the house. And in fact, my son actually helped Senior with the first re-roofing of the house. So you know, I talked to him about this, and he mentioned that he remembers tearing off the original roof and the 1x8 inch stringers that underlaid the original roof, and with the gaps in between. So there's also no question that the original roof was a shingle roof. But the guidelines make it clear that when you're not, we're not talking about original roof here, replacing original roof. What we have is itself a substitute roof. So what the original roof was isn't really a governing issue here. But reading from the preservation brief on the issue, in a rehabilitation project, there may be valid reasons for replacing the roof with a material other than the original. And one of those would be like excessive cost. But the decision to use an alternative material should be weighed carefully against the primary concern to keep the historic character of the building. So the issue is not about the original roof, but rather whether the substitute material is consistent with the historical and architectural character of the structure. As far as I can tell from my research, the most common materials used in the 1920s and 1930s on a house of this size and character and quality would have been slate, wood shingles, or asphalt shingles. If it was slate, they'd probably still be there. Wood shingles, if established, are prohibitively expensive. And asphalt shingles clearly are an acceptable substitute because they were used in that period, although not originally here. So I have no problem with asphalt shingles per se, but the asphalt shingles, asphalt shingles came into use in 1901. They were very popular by the 1920s and 30s, but at that time, they were typically like today's 3-tab shingles. And I think, although the roofing that's proposed here is very cool, I'm not really sure that it's consistent with the historic character of the house, that it's architecturally appropriate for this house. And to quote again, the Wisconsin Historical Society has an interesting article on the issue, and to quote the society, "Do not create a false sense of a roof that never existed on your house." And I'm concerned that that's what this style of roofing would do. So I'm not sure that I can support this particular proposal.
May I comment back? I agree with everything you said, Mark, but this is an heirs.
I can't understand you, Robert.
I'm saying I agree with everything you've said, but we have to take into consideration, this is not a true Tudor. This is a Tudor revival. It's an interpretation of what Tudor structure actually was. And I know what you're saying about the shingle styles. Shingle styles also vary dramatically geographically in this country. And what's popular in Wisconsin and Michigan is not the same that's popular in Oklahoma and Wyoming. I don't have any trouble with this style. I doubt that it's original, but what was in place prior to it, the wood, certainly wasn't appropriate either. And when we went through the original formation of the historic district, this house was indeed considered to be a historic resource, a contributing resource, even though the roof was not appropriate to the structure. So I'm good with that. But your point is well taken.
Would anybody request that the motion be changed?
Not,
I think, Mr. Chair, you have a motion on the floor, so I think you either have to vote on it, vote it up, vote it down, whatever you want, whatever action has to be, or the maker of the motion has to remake the motion, but if there's support for this motion, then it's gonna pass.
I'll just comment, I appreciate Mark's remarks, and, but I would retain my motion as it stands to issue a notice to proceed, and that the structure currently represents a hazard to the occupants.
Is there any further discussion by the commissioners? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. So all in favor of Steve's motion as presented?
Aye.
Please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
There was no dissension, it was unanimous, correct?
Unanimous, correct?
Okay.
I'll accept that.
Okay. I hope so.
Well, sir,
I'm not really that strongly opposed to it. I think it's a cool roof.
I thought it was a good discussion.
Mark,
so-
the information was wonderful.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for everyone, we really appreciate it, and thank you for coming in on St. Patrick's Day, we appreciate that too.
Mr. Chair, at this point, I have nothing else, and there can be nothing else on the agenda for this. I will tell you that we will be seeing you in April, and I thank you very much for the special meeting.
Can you just remind me of the date of that?
It'll be the first Wednesday of the month,
Thank
so
you.
it'll be,
That's all I
I
needed.
believe it's the 6th.
Okay.
So we cannot have a discussion pursuant to tonight's discussion?
This is, the matter's over and done with. I mean, this is, if you want to have a discussion on this, you should have it at the following meeting. The action that was on the agenda has been taken.
So at this time, there's no other business. We do have a final opportunity for public participation, though, if there is. No, we don't. Sorry, never mind. I'm wrong, right? Is there public participation?
You can always have public participation.
I
so
thought
if
there
there's
was always
something
one,
else,
so
Mr.
does
Morales.
anybody else have anything to add to the meeting before we close the meeting?
Thank you all.
Martha does.
Martha? Martha, just remember to state your name for the
Right.
record. and
Martha
your address.
Schroed, I
Thank
live
you.
at 10024 Elgin in Huntington Woods. I just wanted to say, I understand what you're going through with the shingle issue. And And I know you've chosen a product, but I just wanted to let you know that there is a company in Jackson that also manufactures shingles that are architectural, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they might be less expensive because it's close by. And I know you're importing this from California. The problem is I don't know the name of the company, but Hank can probably find it out for you because John Disbro used them on his house over there on LaSalle. And he said, oh yeah, they're great. And he's an architect too, so he would have put that on his.
We may have some more resources for you. since
Yeah,
that's where she's
yeah.
going.
Other than that, I don't have anything else to say, but I just wanted to offer that up.
Thank you.
You could get what you request.
Thanks very much, Martha. Any other public participation? So we'll close public participation. Hank, I have, I guess we need a motion. It's 8:07, if anybody would like to make a
Motion
motion.
to adjourn.
Support.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
8:07, Hank.
Thank you.
It might be a record.
That was pretty fast. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Congratulations.